freelancing and you record this podcast. Yeah. And what do you do in your spare time? How do you like relax from the work? And how do you see, even, there's like in tech community, there's a big topic of burning out. And I think it's a very interesting topic to discuss because I think I burn out regularly. Yeah. Regularly, I have these days when I like work until, let's say, 10 p.m., working into the night. And then the next day, I just cannot force myself to do anything. Yeah. So how do you avoid, or you don't avoid? Like, I don't avoid these things. If sometimes you just need to the deadline is more important than your next day. So sometimes you just need to make the deadline. Yeah. So how do you look at that?
So, I'm trying to think. I think I haven't had burnout probably since like 2014, 2015, something like that. And the reason I had burnout then was because I was doing 2 full-time contracts. So at the same time. So I'm working, contract for this person. They're both paying me day rate, so my time is split. And then one of the, this was 2014, so one of them was remote, but one of them, they wanted me in the office. So I'm in the office. Obviously, I'm the only person on this project, like doing the Android app, right? So they don't know what they're looking at. So if I'm sitting here coding someone else's app, they have no idea. But it was super stressful because it's like, I have a meeting with these guys at 1:00, but I'm also got a meeting with these guys at 12:30. So I'd literally have to go out, say, I'm going to get a coffee, go and do a meeting in a coffee shop for another company, come back. And like, it worked out. I did the work, but like trying to juggle all of that and like the stress of it was, it was too much. And obviously you can't say to them, listen guys, I'm working for someone else right now, like that wouldn't fly, right? That's,
by the way, something that you can do easily if you do like fixed price projects, right? They don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but how do I not do it now? I think the main thing is like, in terms of hobbies.
Do you work less?
First of all, do you work less? I think so. I take regular, all the way through my career, I've only had one portion of time where I work like 80 months for the same company, right? And then aside from that, I've always done like 3 months or 6 months, and then I take like 3 months off. And the off might be, I'm working on my own app because it's fun, or, I go traveling for a bit, whatever, right? But it's not work. And then probably the last year and a half, I've had more work than I've not had work. But one, I don't take things on that I think would be stressful. So like if I'm brought, like if somebody gives me a call and they're like, we have a project, we need it to be delivered by, 2 months time, and it's going to be like a 24-hour job. It's a no, I'm not doing that. I don't answer my phone for work after I finish work. So let's say I start work. Usually I start work early because I wake up early, and then I'll take an extended break in the day to kind of balance it out. But let's say I start work at 7, 10 o'clock, I take the dog for a walk and, chill out for an hour or something, do a bit more work. But if my work day finishes, and usually I stop working like 4 or 5, depending on how much work there is. After 5, that's it. If somebody sends me a message and they're like, hey, Rob, it has to be like critical, like, hey, Rob, everything has exploded and the company's going to go out of business today if you don't fix it. Unless that's the case, like, because I've had projects, like one of the recent projects, the guy, one of the guys who's a project manager, he would ring the back-end guy at 7 p.m. to ask him questions. They're not critical, right? He just wants to know something. And the guy answered the phone, so now he ring him again and again. iOS guy, he would ring him up and say, oh, I'm testing today. I'm testing at 8 p.m., let's say. He's testing the app just now. He found a bug. And he'll ring him up and be like, I found this bug. When can you get it fixed, right? So now he's putting pressure on this guy to do work. And then I get a phone call from him like a week later. I just didn't answer it. And then he rung me back immediately. I didn't answer it. And then he sent me a message on Slack saying, hey, Rob, found a bug, whatever it was. I just didn't reply until 9 o'clock the next day. And he didn't ring me again out of work hours. And it's like...
boundaries. You need to set boundaries. And by the way, that's a very interesting question. Do you have this kind of... Like, do you discuss contracts when you sign them? Is it something that you want to put this thing into contracts, or is it just something that you do on your own?
No, you don't. So the thing with in the UK, there's a thing called IR35, which is like a HMRC, like government law, right? Which says if you're a contractor, they have inside and outside IR35. Why it's called IR35, I don't know. if you're inside, it means that essentially you are an employee of the company, but you are employed independently. So you're not on their books as an employee, you're on their books as a contractor, but you work the hours they say you work, you take the lunch breaks they say you take, exactly like an employee, just the contract's up a bit different. If you work outside IR35, which is how I work, how most people work, it is they are paying you to work on a specific project for a set period of time, but what you do during the day, they cannot by law tell you, Rob, you need to start work at 9 o'clock, you need to finish at 5, you need to have a lunch break for 1 hour at 12. Like, they can't do any of that stuff, right? Because it gets into like tax issues and stuff like that. That's the reason it's there. So I don't have to put in the contract, I finish work at 5. It's just that it says in the contract, like, I work a day. Some contracts say a day is assumed to be 8 hours, but they can't enforce the 8 hours, even if they put it in the contract, and they can't prove I worked 8 hours or 7, whatever, right? So really it's just, I set boundaries where if you message me after a certain amount of time, again, like, it's like, I'm very sympathetic. If the company's going to get out of business today because I created something that was an issue, I'm going to fix it. But if you're harassing me because your manager's harassing you because they want to answer in tomorrow's meeting, that's not my problem.
Or just because you don't have life.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's the other thing, is because this thing is your life. You think it's, yeah. And I think that's the other thing as well, is that people, like, you have to set boundaries of, like, when you work and stuff, but you also have to set boundaries of, like, what is your job role? My job role is to come in and build this thing you asked me to build. Everything else around it, the client's upset about this, or, like, I don't know, we set an estimate and then you've decided to bring the deadline forward for some reason, so now there's more that's not my problem. I told you it's going to take 5 days. If you accept that and then you tell me you want it to get done in 3 days, I'm not going to rush to get it done in 3 days. I told you it's 5 days. That's the deal. And you'll get developers that will take that pressure on, and then that's when they experience the burnout, because they're working 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. They're getting phone calls at 11 p.m. saying this is what's going on. And so they don't have any boundaries. And then once you get into that situation where this is okay, it's really hard to stop and be like, no, guys, I'm not. So for
exactly,
me,
you've
like,
been doing that for months. So why exactly?
Why are you not answering my calls? And like, I've literally had messages where one of the guys that was answering the calls stopped answering, and then the project manager would message me and be like, Rob, have you heard from this guy, because he's not answering my calls? And so I feel like you have to set boundaries really early. Like, this is my job role, this is what you're paying me for, and this is when I work. And then if you don't like that, then it's fine. Like, either give me my notice or not. But
you get a notice as a freelancer.
Yeah, so you have a notice period. It depends on the contract. Some contracts you don't, but most of them you have a notice.